Hey, my name is Eric, and in today's video, we're talking about Upwork versus Fiverr and which is right for you. So you may be watching this video, maybe you're somebody looking to hire a freelancer, or maybe you are a freelancer wondering which service is a right fit for you. I believe either way, this video is going to be really helpful for you because I believe that one of these platforms is doing a great job of innovating their business model while the other is really just trying to suck all the juice out of the freelancers. So one of the things I will say as far as the way these services work is that Fiverr is more like bowling with bumpers. If you've ever done that, you throw the ball down the lane, but there's those bumpers in the gutters, so it's like impossible to throw a gutter ball. Where if you're going over to Upwork, it's like bowling without bumpers. So you can throw strikes still, but it's a lot easier to throw a gutter ball, and I'm going to explain that in a minute as well. But before we get to that, why don't we explain how you're paid on both platforms, because the way that you're paid is going to dictate the level of talent on both platforms. Now we're on Upwork here, and you can see what they do is the first $500 that a freelancer makes, Upwork is taking 20% of that. Then $500 to $10,000, they are taking 10%, and then over $10,000, they are taking 5%. But if we were to go over to Fiverr, the way they do it is it's just $1 on purchases up to $20, and then they charge you 5% of the total for orders more than 20 bucks. So using that information, I just put it into a quick spreadsheet, and if a freelancer was getting paid these amounts, this is what you would net on Fiverr and Upwork, right? So $19, $16, this is based on fees that Upwork is going to take out. So you can start to see if a freelancer is typically charging $100 a job. That's a pretty substantial difference to be making $95 on Fiverr, but $80 on Upwork. And even as you go up and Upwork's fees get a little bit better, there's still a little bit of a difference here. It only actually evens out when you're hitting above $10,000. This is where the payment to the freelancer is going to be the same. But for a freelancer to do all $100 jobs and to be consistently losing 15% to Upwork fees compared to Fiverr, what you're going to find is there's going to be a lot more freelancers that are going to start to navigate towards Fiverr because of their more favorable fees. And this is really important because in 2019, Upwork really changed its business model a little bit. So not only did they start doing this where they were charging more to the freelancers, but they also started charging different packages for the actual client. So the frustrating thing for me was I used to do a lot of hiring on Upwork, but one of the things that they initiated with their basic and free package is they started to do 3 per job post invites to freelancers. So basically, if I was to create a job post and then I wanted to invite freelancers to it, I can invite 3 for free. But if I want to be able to invite like 15 or unlimited freelancers, it has to be $49.99 a month or $849 a month. So you can see that Upwork's business model is they're really trying to take more of the fees from the freelancers as far as what they're taking from them. And then even you as a client, if you're trying to hire people, they're trying to get you into these elevated packages and making it difficult for you to use the free platform to find good talent. Now, I think this is a really bad move on Upwork's part because at the same time, they are telling freelancers we're keeping more of your money and then telling clients we want more money from you to use the service. So they're not really making the service better and more innovative. They're just making it more expensive. So I have worked with like 20 different freelancers on Upwork, and I would say about half of them, if I'm doing any consistent work with them going forward, they're really using it to try to just get a job or two with you, and then they're trying to move it off of Upwork. And a lot of times too, that's frustrating and annoying just because Upwork's kind of like the Gestapo. Like if you write your email address in there, they're like, no, are you sure you don't want to use this? Use Upwork's communication platform. So they're really just kind of like that selfish platform in my opinion. So why don't we go over to Fiverr and take a look there. So now what I'd like to do is explain why I think that Fiverr is more like bowling with bumpers. And I know that kind of sounds childish and you don't want to be like, no, I don't need bumpers. Trust me, it's a great thing when you're hiring out for a specific project. So let's say I was looking for somebody to design a logo. What I really like about this is it's just very simple, right? I can look at this, I can see what it starts at, 45, 35, 50, 200, which these prices are ridiculously low, right? If you were to hire a professional designer in the States, you're probably looking somewhere between $75 to $150 for a good designer per hour. So it's gonna cost you $500, $1,000, $2,000 to get any of these services. And I'm quoting this because I used to work at an advertising agency and these were the numbers I saw being thrown around. But the great thing is the fact that it's the review economy, right? The review, the reputation of this person is so important that they want to do good work for you. And it's very easy to be able to see the reviews here. They have over 1,300, 4.9 stars, and you can just sit here and sift through their project work. Now, if I was to try and do the same thing on Upwork, and I put in logo design in the search box up here, you'll just find that it's just not as intuitively obvious on who I should hire. Because then what I'm going to see is, okay, they charge this much an hour, but how much is this project going to cost? And then I can like look at his profile. You know, if I'm looking at his portfolio here, these things don't have any images. Probably at the bottom he has his portfolio, but it's just not as clean the way it's laid out. But I can't even look at this and say, oh, okay, like how much did this project actually cost somebody, right? With Fiverr, it's very clean because it's just like, oh, you want a logo? All right, well, we have a basic, which is 45. This is what you get. We have a standard and we have a premium, and this is what's included with all of these. So then when you're going over to Upwork, it's just a little bit more difficult because you have to have a lot of communication with different freelancers to understand, you know, how much is this going to cost me? I've done this too, where I tried to hire a video editor off of Upwork. I thought the project was going to cost me about $100. I ended up kind of being 150 because of the communication back and forth. And what it is that Fiverr are projects. They are stamped out projects. And this person has figured out how to do their work efficiently, charge a good price point to you, especially if you're the client hiring, where Upwork is truly freelance, right? It's just kind of like free range chickens running around and you're trying to control the chaos. So I think where it's smart to go with Upwork is if you have a really specific business need, right? And it's not something typical like I need a logo designed or I need a website page built. But let's say that you have like something broken on your website and there's code that's just kind of showing up on the page and you're like, I don't even know what's going on here. I need somebody to get in here and look at it. What you can do is like, let's say you had a WordPress site. I can put in WordPress dev. And then what I have here is a bunch of WordPress developers that I can contact that have good reviews. So I feel confident and their price points a lot of times are going to be better than what it is in the US. If you only want to work with US people, you can do this as well. But if you are looking to hire somebody on here, what I'd really recommend is that you start to understand the filters really well. So what I mean by that is you want to go on the left-hand side, and this may look different by the time you get here. They kind of move this around a little bit. But I would keep this as freelancers and agencies. Hourly rate, you can decide, you know, obviously you get what you paid for. But what I usually do is I only accept 90% and up for job success. So they have to have good reviews. Then I go for amount earned. I usually look for $1,000. It tells me that they've at least done a decent amount of work. I don't want 90% and up, but the person did one job. Hours billed, 100. English level, you know, this is up to you, but I usually look for fluent. And then what it's doing now is it's really filtering this down. And then if I want to look at people that are, you know, if you want to go cheap, $10 and below, here you can see all these filters applied and you can knock ones off if you want. So I have found that using these filters is a great way to reduce your list of candidates that you're going to choose from on Upwork. And again, if you're looking for a really specific job that you're not going to be able to find on Fiverr, that's where I think Upwork is the way to go. So what I also recommend too is if you have Google Drive, it's really easy to create a survey, because what you're going to find is the pain in the butt part is actually going through the applications on Upwork. Because on Fiverr, it's more so you reaching out to people saying, this is what I'm looking for. They say, yeah, I can do it. You know what the project is. Again, it's bumper bowling, right? It's really easy. You just whip the ball and it's going to end up down there somewhere. But with Upwork, there's going to be a lot more communication back and forth, trying to explain the project, see if this person's a good fit. What I would do is be very clear in what you need, and I would create a Google form. So I've done this a few times, and this has worked with great success for me. So if you go to Google Drive, you simply click the plus button in the upper left here, and then on the drop down, click Google Forms, and I already have a pre-populated form I'm going to show you now. All right, so here I've created a Google form, super easy to do. You're just clicking this plus button and it's like you add a question and then you can decide what type of question you want, short answers, paragraphs, multiple choice, etc. I'm gonna delete this one, so I'm gonna hit the delete button here. These are really, really easy to build, but if you are hiring out for a very specific role in your company, these are a great way to funnel candidates down to make things easier for you to be able to let the cream rise to the, the cream rise to the top, so to speak. So what I have here is a specific job that I've actually hired for, and that was a live chat agent. And the reason we did this is the company that I was previously working at is we had employees that cost about $30 an hour to the company that were doing live chat, phone support, filling out orders, all this stuff. It was too chaotic, it was too stressful. And what we did is we decided to slice the live chat component out of that job and outsource it. And what this did was the people who were doing the live chat now were actually more proficient and better at it because they weren't being asked to do anything else. They were probably about 1/6 1/6 the cost, because I think they cost about $5 an hour, and they did a better job. And it was great because the employees at the company were making less mistakes in other areas because they weren't kind of distracted and pulled in all these different directions. So when you're thinking about what you're hiring for, I think it's important to come up with some key factors, some key attributes that are very important. So the 3 things that I really identified for a live chat agent to do customer support on our website was they need to write in good English, right? And they also need to be proficient. And then I also wanted somebody who was a self-starter. They could find answers themselves. And the reason for that was we had a knowledge base of all these support materials. I needed them to be able to get a question from somebody, research it themselves, find the answer, and provide that to somebody. Now, I know that sounds simple, but that's not simple for everybody. And what I do on this specific job post here, I kind of recreated this, is I'm addressing that with the questions. So this first one's open-ended. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to assess their ability to master the English language, which I have yet to do. The second one is intentional in that I wanted a yes/no question. I did put in a third option, no, but willing to learn, as far as do you have experience with Zendesk Live Chat? I wouldn't recommend Zendesk Live Chat, by the way. But the reason I did that is I wanted them to feel comfortable putting this in. But really, in that specific example, I had so many people applying. All I wanted was people who are already familiar with the platform. I don't want to retrain in that way. And this third one is really interesting. Please share a screenshot of a typing test and how many words per minute you can write in English. So if they were to go to Google and put in like word per minute typing test, it'd be very easy for them to find one, then somehow figure out how to take a screenshot and then have it as a URL link, right? So what I'm looking for is somebody that's going to drop a link in here and say, here it is. And what I found is, let's say we had 100 applicants. Well, probably only like 30 actually even filled out this in its entirety. And then about 5 of them were actually able to do this last step here and fill it out with a link. Now, what I want to do right now is show you what this looks like when you actually have somebody fill this out. So you can get a short link here. And again, I got there by clicking send in the upper right and then this link icon. So now what I can do is if I open a new tab here, hopefully I can fill it out because I've already filled it out once. Okay. I'm just going to put Eric testing again. And then do you have any experience with Zendesk? I'm going to write yes. And, or, I'm gonna put no in this one. And then please share a screenshot of a typing test. I don't have that, but I'm just gonna put URL here and submit. So now if I go back to my form, what I will have is responses. So I've already done this twice before, and what you can see is those responses. So the third one I just did is Eric testing again. I don't particularly like this summary view. What I would suggest is you create and view responses in a Google Sheet. So to get to that, you click this. The first time you'll have to create it. So this is what that final outline looks like. They timestamp it so you can see when the person applied. But then what you're looking at here is your 3 questions up above. And the really great thing about this is it makes it very simple to kind of be able to kind of like whittle down your list from here. And the way you can do that is with filters. So if I click this box right here, it's going to highlight all the data on the page. And I want you to go to data, and then I want to go to create a filter. And what it's going to do is it's going to add these little kind of like funnels looking things, right? These downward triangles. And the reason I think it's important to have a yes, no question in your answer is it's hard to filter these like open-ended questions, but this one is very easy to filter. So I'm going to click this, and I only want people who answered yes. So if I take these ones off, the no and blank answers, I'm going to click OK. And then boom, just like that, it's going to filter down my list to just the people who said yes and when they filled out this survey that they have experience with Zendesk. So you can again see how powerful this is. If you get 100 applicants, let's say 50 of them actually fill out the form, 25 of them actually have Zendesk experience. What you've done is instead of getting those 100 applications to your business or on Upwork or however it may be that you're hiring people, now you have 25 applications that say they are using Zendesk. Then what you could do is you could even filter this down to see who had links actually in this area right here. So the more strategic you are with that Google form, sometimes the easier the hiring is. So even if you're a freelancer still watching, this is really actually a good sign because this is somebody who's very intentional and well thought out in the way that they are delivering information and trying to find the right candidate. And you know how frustrating it can be on either side if you're working with somebody and the communication is not good. If somebody's being really intentional, that's really helpful. So like one of the last things I want to mention here is a tip from the 4-Hour Workweek, which is weird because it's kind of like a business classic already, even though it was I think 2007 that it was published. But there's a golden rule that he has for outsourcing, and his golden rule number 1 is each delegated task must be both time consuming and well defined. If you're running around like a chicken with its head cut off and assign your virtual assistant to do that for you, it doesn't improve the order of the universe. So I think that's a really, really good rule if you are hiring and outsourcing with a freelancer, is you want to make sure that you're just not taking your own mess that you have and just saying, here, fix this. You want to take time, create a Google form, create a one-page overview of exactly what you're looking for. SOPs, standard operating procedures. If you have these things and you're really well documented and detailed in that way, which is painful for people like me to do, but when you actually do it, you're going to have better results. And then even if that freelancer, falls off a cliff in 6 months, hopefully not literally, what you're able to do though is make that next hire so much more easy because you've already done all the work up front to create all these SOPs and processes to get somebody up to speed and understand what it is you're looking for and what help you're looking for. All right, guys, I appreciate you using my links in the description below. And I've also included an extra link if you're looking for more of a higher level kind of business manager, somebody who might be overseas who's very affordable, but might cost $120,000 here in the States and cost $30,000 overseas and could potentially be a huge component of your business, a business manager. I'm going to include a link in the description below for that as well. And if you are curious about that business manager service, I will include a video on the screen when it is ready that you can click and watch through as well. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next video.